kids, where are you? It's time for all the art to tell stories.
Chapter 1. A tiny ant with big dreams. In the heart of a lush meadow stood an intricate anthill bustling with activity. Inside the hill lived Andy, a small and somewhat shy ant with a big heart. While other ants were confident in their duties, collecting food, building tunnels, and guarding the colony, Andy often felt overlooked because of his small size and quiet demeanor. Andy admired the colony's leader, General Thorn, a strong and fearless ant who had led them through many challenges. Andy dreamed of proving himself, not through strength, but through cleverness and courage. One sunny morning, as Andy returned from a foraging trip, he noticed something unusual. The air was heavy, and the usually gentle stream near the meadow had risen dramatically after days of rain. "Something's wrong," Andy muttered to himself. He hurried back to the colony to warn General Thorn. Chapter 2. The Looming Danger. Inside the anthill, Andy found the general and the other workers discussing the colony's plans for the week. Nervously, Andy stepped forward. "General Thorn, I think we're in danger," Andy said, his voice trembling. The general looked at him skeptically. "What danger, Andy? The stream is rising fast. If it keeps raining, it could flood the meadow and destroy our home." Some ants murmured in concern, but others chuckled dismissively. "What does Andy know about danger? He's just a forager." "Enough," Thorn said, silencing the room. He turned to Andy. "If what you say is true, we must prepare. I'll send scouts to investigate." While the scouts confirmed Andy's fears, Thorn hesitated to take action. Moving the entire colony was a daunting task. "We'll keep an eye on the water levels," he decided. But Andy wasn't satisfied. He knew time was running out. Chapter 3. Andy's big idea that night. As the rain continued to fall, Andy stayed awake, thinking of a solution. He remembered how ants in stories worked together to achieve the impossible, building bridges, carrying enormous loads, and outsmarting predators. "If we can work together, maybe we can protect the anthill," Andy thought. The next morning, Andy gathered a small group of friends. Bella, a swift scout, Max, a strong worker, and Clara, a clever engineer ant. "I have a plan," Andy said. "We can build barriers around the anthill to keep the water out. If the flood comes, we'll be ready." Bella was skeptical. "How can we stop a flood? We're just ants." "By working together," Andy insisted. "Each of us can do something to help." Reluctantly, his friends agreed. Chapter 4. Rallying the Colony. Andy's team began by gathering materials, twigs, leaves, and bits of grass to form a protective barrier. They worked tirelessly, but their progress was slow. "We'll never finish in time," Max grumbled. "We need more help," Clara said. Andy decided to speak to General Thorn again. This time he was more confident. "General, I've started building a barrier to protect the anthill, but we need the whole colony's help," Andy said. Thorn raised an eyebrow. "You've been busy, Andy. But will it work?" "It's our best chance," Andy replied. "Together, we can do it." Thorn considered Andy's determination. and finally gave his approval. Very well, let's mobilize the colony. Chapter 5. The Mighty Ant. Army word spread quickly, and soon, every ant in the colony was involved. Foragers gathered materials, builders constructed the barrier, and soldiers stood guard against predators. Andy's leadership surprised everyone. He assigned tasks, encouraged the weary, and solved problems as they arose. Keep the leaves packed tightly, Andy called to a group of workers. Make sure the tunnels are reinforced, Clara added. Despite the heavy rain and rising water, the ants worked tirelessly. The anthill was transforming into a fortress of ingenuity and teamwork. Chapter 6. The flood arrives. By the third day, the meadow was unrecognizable. The once gentle stream had turned into a raging river, and water began to encroach on the anthill's defenses. Brace yourselves, Thorn shouted, as the first waves splashed against the barrier. The ants watched in tense silence as the water rose higher. Twigs and leaves began to shift under the pressure. It's holding, but not for long, Clara warned. Andy thought quickly. We need to dig trenches to divert the water away from the anthill. Under Andy's direction, the ants dug furiously, channeling the water into safer areas. The trenches worked, slowing the flood's advance. As the rain finally began to subside, the ants held their breath, waiting to see if their defenses would hold. Chapter 7. Victory through teamwork. By morning, the rain had stopped, and the floodwaters began to recede. The anthill, though battered, stood strong. Cheers erupted throughout the colony as the ants realized they had succeeded. We did it, Bella exclaimed, hugging Andy. You led us well, Andy, General Thorn said, his voice filled with pride. You proved that even the smallest ant can achieve great things with determination and teamwork. Andy smiled, his heart swelling with pride. We did it together. Every ant played a part. Chapter 8. A new leader emerges. In the days that followed, the colony rebuilt what had been damaged and celebrated their resilience. Andy, once overlooked, became a respected leader among his peers. Thorn called a meeting and addressed the colony. Andy has shown us the true meaning of strength, not in size, but in spirit and unity. From this day forward, Andy will be our chief strategist. The ants cheered, and Andy felt a warm sense of belonging. As he looked around at his friends and the bustling colony, he realized that the flood had brought them closer together. Epilogue. The legacy of the mighty ant army. The story of the mighty ant army spread throughout the meadow, inspiring other colonies to work together in times of trouble. Andy continued to lead with kindness and creativity, always reminding his fellow ants that no challenge was too great when they stood together. And so the tiny ant who once felt overlooked became a hero, proving that even the smallest creatures can move mountains when united by a common purpose. If you like our stories, please like, subscribe, and turn on the little bell so you won't miss exciting stories every day. You are also welcome to share it with family and friends to listen to the story together. Love you.